Ladies and gentlemen, the candle has been lit, and today is May 9th, 2013, and this is the KNKL live stream, day 51. I'm your host, Kienan Lafferty, and today is Thoughtful Thursday, where we join as one and we meditate beyond, or beneath the bonsai tree, right? And I preach to you the good word of being what it is to be an artist, and we go a little bit into mental game as we talk about living life to its fullest, pursuing your dreams, and being happy in general. And if my hair gets in my way and makes me look all emo, I'm going to put on my beanie. But before we get into that, before we get started on the show, we need to take a stroll down a couple places. One of which being the Emma art site, or the actual Emma website, because we are having our very first art contest. All you guys out there asked for it, and this is what you get. So go ahead and head on over to Emma Comic Online and check it out because you got some awesome prizes you'll get to win, including blue giraffes, sketches by me, and fortunes from fortune cookies that I may have eaten. Yes. Alright, so with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into today's talk. Today we will be speaking about, let me consult my notes here, great things, and how great things are created slowly, right? Great things being created slowly. What does that mean? What does that mean? Well, let's go ahead and get started on what that means. So, alright, so great things created slowly. I think the main thing that we want to get to on this is the thought of, okay, you have this dream, right? You have this company that you want to make. You have a comic that you want to create, right? And a lot of people would say that, oh man, you really got to put your nose to the grindstone. You quit your job, you do all this, you make all the sacrifices that you need to now, and you make it as quickly as possible, right? That way you can stay out of this struggling point, right? As little as possible. Like you go in and out as quickly as possible. But what a lot of people don't realize is that what happens is, you know, say you're going for a little while, you have your good steady job, you're making money, you're doing a good job, and then you decide to take off from that to pursue your dream, right? You're naturally going to take what some people would call, you know, obviously it's like, oh no, well, all my security is gone. All of my money is going to be gone. You know, I can still make money with contract and stuff like that. I can still take care of myself. But a lot of people would consider that a dip into the uncertainty, the realm of uncertainty. But I want you guys to actually start thinking of the struggling points that you will encounter when you pursue a dream or pursue a goal is actually a rise, right? You are rising to a new plateau. And it can be that way. It really can. Just because you're not making as much money as you used to, or for whatever reason, we're not just talking about money. For whatever reason, you may have a lot of uncertainty. It could be even this way, say, after a breakup, right? After a breakup with somebody, naturally, the usual thought is, oh, okay, we're going to go into this slump, right? This breakup slump. But really, what it is it's just as much, it's almost like a fork in the road, right? A fork in the road is presented to you, right? Anytime you're presented with a problem or something that kind of knocks you off your feet. And you can either choose to feel sorry for yourself and kind of go down the pity party lane, right? You can head on down there. They got a nice party for you. Or you can take the trip to the higher level. You can say, okay, this is an experience for me to grow from this, right? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, as a lot of people say. But really take that to heart and ask yourself, why do people say that? Why do they say that? You know, not everything that doesn't kill you will make you stronger. If you allow it to, everything that doesn't kill you will make you weaker, and it will depress you until you actually wish you were actually dead. So, yeah, what doesn't kill you doesn't make you stronger by proxy. You have to choose to make it stronger, or choose to have it make you stronger. And I kind of like that. I'm gonna write that down. Write that down for later. Stronger is a choice, so make sure you choose it. And it is getting really warm in here, so I'm gonna go ahead and open the window a little bit more. Woo! So, okay, so it covered the fork in the road that you take, right? The fork that happens in the road where there's supposedly a dip, but you choose to rise up above it. And now you realize that you're on this strange plane. Something is happening here. Because of this uncertainty, you don't know what's next. You don't know exactly where. You don't have the same type of security that you had before, whether it was in a relationship, whether it was in a job, whether it was in just staying with that same group of friends that they knew exactly what you did, and they liked you just the way you were, but you decided to go do this crazy thing, and maybe they don't like that, right? There's all these things that happen when you decide to pursue a dream or make something of yourself. So I want you guys to sort of prepare yourselves for that. I think that people that choose to really believe in themselves and follow their heart will undoubtedly be presented with these problems. And okay, so after you take that choice to hit the higher ground or hit the higher road, and now you're pursuing your dream, you're having fun, but you are in the realm of uncertainty. And I want to tell you guys, this is an awesome place to be, because whenever you are in an uncertain state, whenever you are in that sort of like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen, or you might be a little bit kind of depressed or sad, you are actually in the greatest point for finding a passion, right? A lot of people go through lives, and they go through their lives, and it always just baffled me growing up, because I knew that I wanted to be an artist, and I'd ask these people, what do you want to be, right? What have you always wanted to be? And they're like, I don't know, this job looks pretty good over here because it pays this amount of money, right? Or I think I'll go to school and get this degree because everybody's telling me to do that. And I was like, oh, you're making a big major decision in your life based off of just the money or just what somebody else is telling you to do. I'm not saying that money isn't always a good incentive. I mean, money's always good. You always want to be able to provide for your family. You want to provide for your wife and kids and family. You might want to take care of your mom and get her a house, get her a little poolside guest house. You know what I'm talking about? A lot of you might want to do that. So that's always good. That can always be great motivation for you to want to become something. But I think there's also another really important part of it, and that is whatever you end up doing for the rest of your life, you're going to have to really, really enjoy it. And the only way you're going to enjoy it is if your passion is in that, right? If you're becoming a dentist or a doctor just because it gets paid a lot of money, unless it's your passion and you really, really enjoy doing that every day, I don't care how much money you're making, you're not going to be fulfilled. You're not going to feel fulfilled. Something is going to be empty in you. Something is going to be wanting to be expressed. You are holding it back, right? You're holding it back because of something that somebody else told you to do, or yeah, somewhere along your life someone said, oh no, you don't want to do that. You don't want to become an artist. Artists don't make any money, right? Like some people that I used to work with at Riot. I used to ask them, what did your parents think about you wanting to become an artist? And then they roll their eyes at the subject because they're like, oh, my parents, like they told me don't become an artist. You want to work as a postal worker like your grandpa, or you want to go into the army, or you want to become a dentist or a lawyer, right? Because those people make all the money, right? So naturally their parents like push them to become those things, but deep down inside, these kids and these adolescent young adults, they want to be artists, right? They need to express themselves with painting and expression and comics and awesome things, right? But people don't believe in them. A lot of people there's a stigma attached to artists that, for whatever reason, you're not going to make it, right? Same thing with like a musical type of, any sort of creative art, I really feel like there's a big stigma attached to it. And while I do agree that, sometimes great artists just never get discovered, I think that it's not a result of chance, right? It's really not a result of chance. I think that actually sometimes artists that never get discovered still are okay because they're doing what they love. Does that make sense? Like if they wanted to get discovered, there's plenty of ways. There's plenty of ways to spread your name, to get people to look at your stuff, listen to your stuff, and they just need to do more of that. But maybe they're just not into that. Me personally, I love creating the comic. I love creating the comic, and I love doing the show. I love teaching stuff. I love promoting on Facebook. I love promoting on Twitter. Like if I could literally sit down at a computer all day and just promote comic on Facebook and promote over here on Twitter, promote on DeviantArt, I would. It's actually very addictive. I like it. I like the social interaction, and I like spreading the word about the comic and hearing what people have to say. But at the same time, that can be very, very like addictive. I think that it is very, very addictive to really want to hear what other people think of you, right? Especially when you got a baby comic, Of course, you want to hear what everybody's saying. And I think it's very, very important to spread your name and spread your idea, but at the same time, you can get addicted. Don't allow yourself to get addicted to the feedback from others, really. Remember that the reason why you're doing it, or in my case, the reason why I'm making the comic was for me. It is for me, and it was for me, and it's going to continue to be for me, right? So at the end of my life, when I'm sitting on one of those old chairs, you know, the chairs that make it easy for the old people to get out of, like it's like remote controlled, like basically lifts them out of it. And then you sit down and it's like that. Until I'm sitting in that chair as an old man, I will be making this comic, or a comic, and then I will basically be able to sit down and I'll read my comics in the final years of my life, and hopefully have a lot of money and good things to do along those years, you know, or up to those years. But I'm really doing this for myself, and hopefully by doing the show by proxy, it's almost like a video blog of, hey, watch how this kid started from just a dream, right? He wanted to work in the industry. He wanted to work as a professional. He went to Riot Games. He worked there for a year and a half. Really, really loved it. But then, like after that, he decided that he wanted to do something else. He wanted to express himself with a whole new thing. He wanted to take a huge chance, try to start a company, make a comic, right? And so he did that. He took off from Riot Games, and then he started making the comic. And then he met some awesome people like you out there that really enjoyed reading it, spreading the word about it, maybe even possibly donating hard-earned cash. You know, like I'm like some street performer on the road of Santa Monica, and you're like chucking money into my little bag there, right? But instead I'm like drawing a comic really, really, really slowly, you know? And you guys are throwing your money at that. And that's all really awesome, right? And really, I think it's very cool that we live in a day and age that you can spread, like, ideas spread very, very, very quickly, right? And things can go viral in like 2 days, you know, like just like some weird video can go viral and then everybody sees it and it gets huge. And I think it's cool that we're living in a day and age where globally, like people out there are watching this show, not only in America, but in Sweden, Australia, Germany, and like places that I would love to go, but I don't know if I'm ever going to go there in my life. Who knows? I'd really like to go out there and pay each of you a visit myself, but we'll see if that happens. It's definitely a goal of mine to be able to travel. But yeah, we got on this whole tangent from starting things slowly. And I want to kind of retract all the way back to that, and let's kind of get back to that. But okay, so when you start your own project, when you start your own thing, or you're pursuing your passion, you've got to understand that it is not going to work overnight, right? A good quote I once heard was, "People are rewarded in public for what they've practiced in years in private." Right? So these people that come out there and they do this amazing performance, they sing some amazing, beautiful song, or they tell a huge story, they were working on those for years of their life. And then they finally show it to you and you think, whoa, what a cool idea. They must have just thought about that like last week, you know? But that's not the case. Great things are created slowly, and you have to understand that. It's gonna take time. You're gonna go through like periods of where you're going strong, right? Like the creative juices are just flowing. I'm actually going to go this way, this way. Creative juices are flowing. I got it right the first time. Creative juices are flowing, and then you slump into this thing. You're like, oh, I don't know if this is going to work. And then something happens, and you're like, oh, yeah, this is totally good. And then you're way up here, and then it goes back down, and then you're kind of back to the middle point. But the path to progress, or the path of progress, is a wavy one. I've heard that too. I really, really like that. So instead of feeling like something's wrong, and this can be said about a piece that is taking you, you're working on one day. You'll have those same types of feelings. You'll be working on something, you get the idea, you're like super jazzed about it. You get into it and you're like, oh man, I don't know how to render this type of material. I don't know anything about backgrounds or this, you just think it sucks for some reason. But then you go out and you learn and you're like, all right, I'm into it, going, going, going. And this can happen in a day. This happens daily. It can happen through weeks. It can happen through years, who knows? But the point is that I think once you understand that there are going to be waves in your, not only like emotions, but just like in your path of progress, you have to, it sort of like allows you to look at it objectively. And you're like, oh, well, I'm just in this slump right now. I'm just going to write it out and I'm going to take care of what's bugging me, and it could be like, for me, I love having a journal now because I realize that the times when I'm feeling kind of down is usually when I have a bunch of little things that require my attention that I'm kind of pushing off to the side so I can focus on, this case, the comic, right? I have just like these little things that would probably just take me one day to collectively just take care of all of them. It could be, I need to clean the bed sheets, or I need to go vacuum this room, or a friend of mine asked for maybe a sketch of something that I told him I would do for him, but I haven't done it yet. Just all these little things that pile up. And having a journal that allows me to write down those lists and take care of them one by one. And I noticed that once I take care of all those little things, then I naturally am back up. I'm back up in that good feeling, because then it's like, all right, I can devote my whole creative energy to this. And I'm allowing myself to just relax and go for it and do the 26-34 rule, for those of you who have heard about that. I love it. I'll explain that again and maybe a little bit later. If not, it's a common thing that I always talk about, the 26-34 rule. I love it. Love it. It's awesome. So, yeah, the path to progress is a wavy one. So allow yourself to look at it objectively and just be like, okay, well, this is just one of those down times. And then when it's high, like, you're riding it and you're taking advantage of it. You're going and going and going, and then you'll drop back down, maybe towards the mid-level. And that's okay. I really don't believe, like, I think a lot of people are given the false expectation that when you're doing what you love, you're always up here, right? Like, when you're doing what you love, work doesn't feel like work. And while I would agree, there are times like that. There are times when you were just going, and like bombs could be going off outside, and you don't even flinch. You're just going and going and going. There are times like that, and it is really, really awesome. But then there's also other times where you're struggling. There's other times where you are afraid of something. You don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know, like, you got bills to pay, or you got to figure out how you're going to get some money to keep going, But do you ever stop to think about how up till this point in your life, how many times have you had that same feeling of, oh, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this? But you did. You always did, So why worry about it this time? Because when it really comes down to it, you figure out a way to get through it. So, I mean, you just almost got to kind of look at it like that and just be like, all right, well, this is just one of those times, and I'm going to get through it, and I'm just going to keep going. That's the other thing. I think it's important that when you are in that low kind of state, when you're in a lower kind of emotional state, don't stop doing what you're doing. Because if you stop, you stick there, and you're stuck in that low pit area. And then you can get depressed. You could even think about quitting, which is really bad. If you quit, you are just gone. You just friggin' dug a hole down to the pits of heck, and then you just suck yourself right into there, and then there is no returning from the pit of fire and brimstone. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to quit when you're in that pit, or when you're in the lower part. You know what I'm saying? Don't dig a hole further and stop. Keep moving, because as long as you keep moving, you are going to rise out of it. Okay? It's guaranteed. It will always happen. Just don't stop if you're in a lower state of mind and a lower emotional point, regardless of what it is. All right. So moving back to things created slowly. Things created slowly. Okay, let's see if I can actually get through this. The meat and potatoes of what this means. Yeah, it just means that you just gotta allow yourself. You gotta allow yourself the time to just make it work, right? Great things are always going to be created slowly, and you have to allow yourself that time, and also understand that the most important thing is not how fast you're doing it. The most important thing is not how fast you are creating something or getting through a set project. The important thing is that you're actually doing it. The point that you are actively engaged and going and moving forward is the most important part. Sure, you might be able to go a little bit faster. Sure, maybe you're going too fast. You need to cut back a little bit, because you're going to burn yourself out and you're going to hate what you're doing. You're going to turn your passion into the thing that you loathe. And that's a very, very bad thing to do. You don't want to do that. There's such a thing as working too much, because when you do work too much and you feel it, right? There's times where you can just go all day and you don't feel it. That's the genius state, as some call it. That's when you're working on your passion, you don't even feel like it's work. Those are good days, but not every day is like that. Most of the days you will get burnt out if you just go and go and go and go and don't take a break. So, yeah, just allow yourself, feel good about the fact that a lot of people just don't even start. So many people are so busy, figuring out all the things that can go wrong, psyching themselves out of taking the chance or doing what they really want to do. They come up with all the reasons and all the terrible things that could happen, and they don't even start, right? They psych themselves out, and they're like, oh, okay, well, I'm just not going to even consider that as an option because that's just too crazy. It's too crazy for me. And they don't even start, right? So the fact that you actually took the first step, and are actually moving, that already has set you apart from pretty much 90% of everybody else. Because everybody else is just looking to get that little secure thing and just be okay, and not get too crazy and not rock the boat. And they can live like this nice little stagnant life and just keep moving and moving, but they never amount to anything. They never pursue their dream. They never do the things that they said that they wanted to do because they don't believe that they're entitled to them. They convince themselves they don't deserve them, or whatever crazy, stupid reason that everybody else decides to quit, right, from all their dreams, or becoming something, or creating something. And quite frankly, I'm kind of fed up about it, and I don't want to see it happen anymore. So I think it's very, very important that you allow yourself, feel pride in the fact that you are going. You might be going really slowly. You might be inching along. You might be crawling along. But as long as you do not stop, I think that's the most important part. Do not stop and do not quit. Do not quit. And the worst thing of all is quitting before you even start, which is about what 90% of people do. So don't do that anymore. Or at least if you do it, don't let me see you do it, because I'll be very angry with you. So, alright guys. So, I think that sort of sums up getting started on things and allowing things to be created slowly. I want to talk about another principle that kind of goes hand in hand with that. And that is allowing yourself to do things badly, right? Allow yourself to completely suck at something, right? Like when I first got started with, when I was young, I wanted to be an animator, right? And I still do want to do animation. I actually am doing animation for like a little side project that you guys may be seeing that is related to Emma, but I can't talk about it right now. But I am doing a little bit of animation on that. But when I was young, I used to watch all these cartoons on TV, and I was like, whoa, I want to do that. Or, I can do that, right? That's what I said. I was like, I could do that. That's easy, right? And I was probably like maybe 11 or 12. And here I am saying, oh, I want to be an animator. So I got my dad's old, like, crappy camcorder, and I set it up on the tripod. And then I just got like a bunch of scrap printer paper or something, and I started drawing drawings on them, right? And then I'd like take pictures, or like take a quick video shot of that paper, and then I'd move it to the next one, draw that, and then take a quick video shot of that one, and move it, and move it, move it. And I couldn't get a good frame rate with that camera, because it was basically me like taking, like starting the recording, then stopping it as quickly as I could. It's hard to explain, but there was like a standby on it too, so I had to like time it. So it would be like boop, 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 and then I'd have to quickly like turn it off, so it would take a frame, right? So it was probably like a frame every half second if I was really good at it. And but that was a good way to get started. I really, really enjoyed doing that. And during those times, I mean, I'm sure if I were to look back on those things, I would be like, man, those things sucked. Those were so bad. But when I was little, I didn't care. I thought that I was doing great. I was so like I was in this blissful land of, oh man, I'm actually doing this, and just having fun with it and allowing myself to do bad, that I was learning, right? And then I moved into claymation. I started taking like these little clay things, and I started animating those and moving them with the same camcorder. And they were still like really, really crappy, not good frame rate, but I was practicing maybe a little bit of dialogue. I was like, okay, what are these characters going to say? And I didn't have any script or anything. I just kind of went with it, right? I had a general idea, but it's funny to look back on those things. It's like that was like pure creation. Pure creation, and I didn't really care about what I was creating. I was just like allowing myself to be creative and just go with it. Just go and go and go and go. And in that case, like if I was to look at it from that standpoint of view, that's why little kids are so creative, because they haven't developed that social weirdness where they care about what other people think of them yet. You know what I mean? Little kids don't care about what other people think of them at that age, so that's why they're so much more creative, and they come up with these crazy ideas. They do these outlandish things because they haven't come up with that strange social, like, parasite, whatever you want to call it. But I want to kind of I want you guys to kind of think of yourselves as kids when you're learning things for the first time. Like, say I had never done any of that animation, I want to start today. My skills would probably be comparable to myself when I was 12, like starting out, like beginning. Of course, I'd probably learn a lot quicker because I'd be like, okay, I can check out this video. Oh, look at how this guy does this animation of this guy taking a, like throwing a punch, right? And like that in-between frame where everything's like stretched out, you know what I'm talking about? They do like that deforming of the body as like characters do actions. I really like that a lot. And I'd probably be able to learn a lot quicker. But, you know, during those beginning times, every time you start something the first time, it's a good chance you're going to be doing it pretty badly. You know what I mean? But doing it, like I said, just starting the journey already puts you into that select category of people that have actually begun the journey. And the most important thing that you do after that point is you do not stop. So I think that goes into allowing yourself to do something badly. Get out of your head about, oh, well, this needs to be good. I need to be good right at the beginning, right? I need to be great. Otherwise, it's just not worth it. It's not worth taking the time. I have to learn things. If I'm not good at this right off the bat, then what's the point? You know, stop thinking that. I don't know where this crazy mindset even came from or why it's there, but it needs to go away. It needs to go away and it needs to stay away. And yeah, so yeah, allowing yourself to do something badly and like almost take like relish the fact, almost do like a reverse psychology thing where you're like, this is so bad and I'm proud. You know what I mean? Like this is so bad and just like laugh at yourself. Laugh at how bad it is. But also take pride and take happiness in the joy that you are just doing it, right? You know that you want to do this and you know that you're going to figure out what you could have improved on. You're going to make a small improvement on the next one. And the next one's still pretty bad, but you improved in this one area. Then maybe the next one's still kind of, I don't know, but then you improved from that last one. Slowly but surely, you are going to rise, and you improve exponentially, right? You don't go like this. It's not a straight line. You go like this. It's like bad, good, 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 and then you go straight up into superstardom. And that is awesome. And yeah, there's always, and here's the other thing, is that you never have created your best work. Every single piece of work, every panel that I do, every page that I do in this comic is my best work because I'm learning throughout the entire experience. And then I look back on the old pages, I'm like, oh man, that was pretty, I shouldn't have done that. I definitely need to improve on that for the next one. Or if I have a similar situation, this comes up again, I need to make sure that I correct it by doing this. You know, so I am creating my best work every panel, every page, and I'm really, really trying to up the quality each time. I don't get to a point where I'm like, yeah, I pretty much made it, so it's like I don't need to work hard anymore. I don't need to improve because I'm just good, you know, I'm just good. No, no, you don't want to get there. That's just as bad as stopping in the pit, right? You stop at a high point, you become a jerk, and you become ignorant, and then people will start to hate you for good reason because you are becoming what the world knows as a jerk, and a few other words that I could say, but I won't because we do have younger viewers watching. Yes, I'm talking about you. All right, so moving on. Yeah, so as far as I'm concerned, you should always be humble, right? Even at the point where you become professional, as some people say, or you've done great work for some big company. You always got to look at yourself as the journey never ends. The journey never ends, and it's awesome, right? That's an awesome mindset to have. You've never created your best work. You are always getting better, right? Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice only makes improvement. And I love that quote. I absolutely love it because it's a great way to live your life, and it's always so fun to think that I'm always getting better, like if I choose to, right? You can't just say in your head, oh, every day and every way I'm getting better and better. I've heard that before, but you know, there's this guy that I watched named Jim Rohn, and he says that affirmation without action, I think is what he says. Affirmation without action is the beginning of delusion, right? So you tell yourself every day, oh, every day and every way I'm getting better and better. But if you're not actually doing anything about it, if you're actually just sitting down on the couch watching American Idol all day eating Cheetos, you're probably not getting better and better at anything, right? So you got to make sure that you don't delude yourself into thinking you're making progress when you're not acting upon anything. I think that's another big thing to do. I think it's good to have a positive mindset, but positivity without action is, you know, is blind. You know, it's blind faith, and it doesn't really get you anything, right? Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is the idea of allowing some laziness. Allowing some laziness. We all like to be lazy at times, right? Well, I think it's always good to be a little bit lazy when you start your plan, right? Because like I said, actually committing to something and starting the journey puts you in the top 10% of all people that ever lived, right? But then what happens is even the people that start, some tend to fall off because what happens is they try to overload themselves and they burn out and they die. They die and become the soil, and the circle of life continues and grows into grass, like in Lion King. But I think it's very important that when you set your plan out of what you want to do, make sure you make the beginning very, very easy, right? And let's say this is like a goal that I have for myself. Like, say, I want to stay in good shape, right? I'm a comic book artist. I'm in front of a computer all day. I'm sitting down. I'm playing games all the time. I'm drawing, making comics, and I don't really get up and get out a lot. Well, how about I make a plan to get in shape or to stay in shape, stay healthy, right? Am I going to be like, tomorrow I'm going to buy the DVD set of P90X and I'm not eating any more carbs, no more bread, no more meat, no more anything. I'm just going to eat salad and spinach and quinoa and coconut and all this like healthy stuff, right? And I'm only eating that for the rest of my life. Do you think that I'm going to be able to accomplish that goal? Probably not. Probably not, because I'm overloading the goal in the beginning, right? I'm expecting way too much of myself. And then I'm going to get into that, and I might even do it for like one day and be like, oh yeah. And then the next day it's like, oh, I got to do that all over again. And then you're already dreading it, and you're already overloaded, and you're not going to enjoy it, okay? And then eventually you are going to wither away and die and become the soil. And the Lion King will walk on you. Maybe. Okay, never mind. But yes, when you set out your goal, realize that creating a plan is hard work in itself. Creating a plan for improvement is hard work. So naturally, after a lot of hard work, you must make sure that you start with realistic goals. Set yourself realistic goals and even lazy goals. Like, okay, so an example for me is I want to stay in shape, right? So my goal was I just want to work out one time a week. One time a week, right? And granted, I'm not going to get crazy results from that. I'm not going to look in the mirror and be like, oh, yeah, look at me. And like kiss my arm and all that stuff. Like the giant pecs that like explode and like cover my neck so I don't even have a neck anymore and I walk around like this. I'm not going to get that kind of result from that. But what I am doing is I'm beginning the plan one time a week. And here's the other thing, is that if for some reason I fail that, it's like, well, wow, like that's just like almost unacceptable. You know what I mean? It's unacceptable because it's so easy. It's like, why can't I work out one time a week? Why can't I do this? Why can't I eat healthy for maybe one time a week, Instead of going out and eating Little Caesars and Del Taco all the time, why can't I have a salad for lunch a couple days out of the week? And you want to get yourself into that mindset. When you're in that mindset of, I should really be able to do this, or for some reason you fail it and you're really disappointed in yourself, that's a good place to be. That's a very good place to be, because that's where you want to get started, where you know that you expect that of yourself. Not this whole, oh man, I'm doing this crazy thing and I'm starting it tomorrow and I'm just going to do it like that for the rest of my life. And then you do it once and then you realize you got to do it over and over and over again, and then it overwhelms you and you stop, right? If you start easy, you bring yourself, you let yourself be responsible for that, right? And there have been weeks where literally, I go skating on the weekend, right, on Saturdays. I'm not talking about cool skating. I don't go to the skate park and like do the half pipes. I do disco skating, right, where it's like the inline four-wheel thing. And my old roommates, like when I used to work here, my roommates got me into it, and I've been addicted ever since. So it's really, really fun, and it's a great thing to do on the weekend. And I could count that as my workout, right? Because it actually is a good workout, like skating around, and it's really fun. But I want to actually do a workout, like something you'd see in Men's Health or something like that, doing push-ups and some of those crazy like axe moves with the dumbbell and all that stuff. And I want to do one of those once a week. And so that is a realistic goal. And then from there, you can slowly build it up. You build yourself up to the point of, well, why can't I work out 2 times a week? I've been doing this for 3 months. I should be working out twice a week now, and then from that point, it's easy. Then you go to 2 times a week, and then maybe you're like, oh, I really like this. I'm gonna start doing it 3 times a week, and then you get into it, and you're like, whoa, man, I'm starting to see some results here. Wow, I could really sculpt my body and be like one of those crazy buff dudes at the beach. Maybe I want to do that. Maybe I don't. But let's say that I did. Then I'm going to start getting into, I'm going to buy all these supplements and like the whey thing and do research online about how to build my body like this. And then you start going to like 4 or 5 times a week, right? And you're lifting massive weights. And then all this happens over like a 6-month, maybe a year period. And do you understand how that works? Because you've given yourself a year to get to that, as opposed to tomorrow I'm going to work out 6 days a week. From now on, 6 days a week, and I'm going to do all this research on here, and then I'm going to buy all these supplements so I can be a musclehead at the beach, right? And by doing that, you're going to overload yourself, and it's going to be such a radical change that you're inevitably going to fail at it. This goes for the same thing with starting the comic, right? I kind of did a cold turkey thing where I quit my job, but the passion inside me was so great that I knew that there was no other choice, right? And even so, I rode that high, right? I quit the job and I used that energy to really get started strong on it, right? But even then, I didn't know much about comics. I was learning a bunch of stuff. I didn't know a lot about panel layouts or storytelling or dialogue or word bubbles. I thought word bubbles were going to be the easiest thing in the world. There's actually so many little subtleties that I've barely hit the tip of the iceberg as far as I'm concerned. There's all these little subtleties that goes into making a little chat bubble that sits over here. How you arrange the words, what words you choose, if there's like crossbars on the I, depending on like if it's a pronoun or something else. You know what I'm saying? And there's all these little things that you have to learn that, like, if someone just came up to me and be like, hey, you're going to be a comic artist tomorrow, you got to learn all these things, you got to know all about these panel layouts, you got to know about all the grammar, punctuation things that happen inside of a chat balloon and what type of thing to use depending on the situation, and all this stuff, naturally I would probably be like, oh, whoa, that's crazy. Can I just like start with like some crappy little black and white comics and then move my way up? And notice that I actually did that on purpose. It was almost like a dual purpose there, right? I started the comic in black and white because it was easier. You guys get that? It's much easier to start a comic in black and white because you're not worried about color theory. You're not worried about, ooh, do the characters look like they belong in this environment? Is it telling the visual story that I wanted to do? Because I wanted to be a very visual story, right? I wanted to be a very visual oriented comic where it's very immersive and you feel like the characters are in that environment, as opposed to it's just like some backdrop and then the characters are always the same color, like stuck on top, like some sort of Garfield type of thing. But I'm not dissing on Garfield or anything, but that was the first thing that came to my mind. But I wanted it to be a very immersive and awesome comic. So I figured, hey, I'm going to do a lot of learning here, so I should probably like take away everything that I can. Take away everything that I can as far as leaving that to be learned later. And that has to do with, there was not a lot of dialogue. There was not a lot of dialogue in the beginning. There was no color in the beginning. I was figuring out the style. I hate doing backgrounds. I hate doing backgrounds as much as I like putting characters in cool scenery, but I used to hate doing backgrounds. I've kind of actually warmed up a little bit more to it as of today. But back then I just like dreaded it, especially interior shots, like drawing sofas and like little desks and stuff with lamps on them, and like having to draw those in every single panel. But quickly I realized it's like, hey, you actually only have to draw it once. You only really have to draw it once so the reader knows where the scene is taking place. Then, if the background is blank in other parts, or just less detailed in other parts, the reader's mind will naturally fill it in for you. The reader's mind does the work for you. And this thought occurred to me after I read comics like Scott Pilgrim. He does these really cool, like, establishing shots where the scene is taking place, and then there will be a conversation between some characters that will literally have no background. And I didn't notice it until I went back later and really looked at it, right? Because my mind was just filling in, oh, that's where they are. And I thought, whoa, that's so cool. What a cool concept that you can get away with a simplified background after you establish where a scene is taking place. So naturally, that was like me moving up a little bit. It's like, okay, here's black and white. This is how you lay out a comic, kind of at the bottom. All right. Ooh, I got to learn all this stuff. I got to learn about color. I got to learn about stuff. So now I'm here. Oh, I know how to tell. I know how to tell a story a little bit better with these selection of panels up a little bit more. Oh, I made a mistake here by revealing what was supposed to be a surprise, and I should have put that on the page after. That way when the person turns the page, they're really surprised, as opposed to seeing what's going to happen on that page. So I moved up a little bit more. The next time something like that happened, we got fire engines that come through all the time. Woo! It is getting mighty toasty in here. By the way, guys, we're going to go for about 5 more minutes, and then I'm going to open up questions. Actually, I'm going to open up questions now. Cast your questions over the castle walls, and I'll answer them during the last 15 minutes of the show, and then we will end day 51 of the KNKL live stream. Now we'll go on to the weekend. In fact, let me make sure that I'm not missing anything. Okay. Going way back to the pity party lane. John says, I go down pity party lane so much I have free parking at the end. That's awesome. Yeah. All right. Simon, I cannot say your last name for fear of butchering it, so you are just Simon. Simon says he's got a great statement here. He's saying, my dad said I'd be lucky to live at home instead of on the street, right? And I think that is a good thing to do. I always talk about in life that you got to be really, really grateful for what you got, right? No matter how bad you got it, as long as you got a roof over your head, if you're able to watch me right now via an internet connection and you have a computer and you have food and you have a bed, you are a lucky, lucky human being, and you really need to take that. Don't just sit there and be like, oh, okay, well, that's good enough for me. I should be grateful. And then just use that as an excuse to not go for greater things. But really, I really believe that you can't rise above your words, right? If your description of your life is, man, I just have it so bad, or it seems like the world's against me, everybody's out to screw me over, that's basically what your life is going to be. Because what you think your life is, you will naturally find things that reinforce that thought, right? You could say, oh man, people are so awesome, people are always trying to help me out, and you'll find examples of that throughout your life that back that up, right? It's all about your focus of your mind, okay? So that's why I think it's very important to stay positive, be grateful for what you have, because in being grateful for what you have, you set up the possibility to rise above that and move on, right? But if you're stuck with what you have and you think you don't have it good and you don't have enough, you're just going to stay right there because you're never going to find anything else better because you cannot rise above your words. So have good words. There's a lot of power in those. Captain Big Butt is asking a good question about spoilers in the comic and if I plan on having a specific part of the forum dedicated to that. I had not thought about this, but I'm actually going to write it down. Spoiler section. And by the way, the forum is in production, so you guys are going to be seeing that soon. Super excited. Awesome person by the name of Brian Hogan actually stepped up and was like, hey, I know about forums. Can I help you just set that up? And I was like, yeah. So awesome people helping me out. I have the belief that, hey, sometimes I just seem to attract amazing people that believe in what I'm doing and want to help me out. And lo and behold, Brian Hogan descended from the heavens to help me out with his awesome fox ear beanie thing that I'm jealous of and wish I had. All right. So let's go ahead and move on. I totally forgot what I was talking about before I closed that door, so I do apologize for that. I'm just moving on to questions as we finish up here. Hogan Warfare is asking a great question here. He's asking, do you ever feel down for no reason? Yes, actually, I do. I really do. And that also, it's like one of the worst feelings to have, right? You just feel kind of down, kind of depressed, you just don't know what's going on. And then you say, well, let me just figure out what's wrong and I'll fix it and then I'll feel great. But then you think about it and you can't come up with any reason why you're feeling feeling that way, right? And then you're just left with this feeling of something's wrong. So whenever I feel like that, and guys, I'm gonna keep throwing this in your face, the power of the journal. Whenever I'm feeling down for no reason, oftentimes I feel the best thing to do is just write about it. Write about it. Get your journal, get a piece of paper, get anything. It can be just like some written notebook paper. You can throw it away when you're done with it. But I think the most important thing to do when you're feeling down for no reason, because it happens to me all the time. I'll literally write it down and be like, I'm feeling very melancholy, right? I'll have these days where I just don't feel really happy or really sad. I almost feel just like stuck in this middle ground, and it's really, really uncomfortable. I don't like it. And then I'll just open up my journal, and then I'll write it down. I'll be like, I'm feeling very melancholy right now. I just don't know exactly what's going on or why I'm feeling this way. And then I'll kind of move into, well, let's just kind of take inventory of what's going on here. I'm pursuing my dream. I'm doing this thing. I should be happy about that. I have a lot of things to be grateful for. I have great family, friends. I have a roof over my head. I have food to eat. I have a computer, internet, and great ways to make comics, right? I got a lot of things going good for me. But there may be some parts of my life that I'm not satisfied with. And then I'll go into that. Be like, well, maybe I'm not staying in as good a shape as I want to be. Maybe I'm not eating as healthy as I want to be. Maybe I'm not doing enough social things as I want to be. Write all those things down, right? And as you start to write things down, you are emptying your mind. And this is what it does here. It takes everything that's up in here, puts it down, and then your mind no longer has to think about it. You are clearing space. Imagine you are cleaning your room. Imagine a bunch of stuff is just chucked around your room, right? And the state of your room is like the state of your brain. As you start to write things down, you start to clean things up, and you start to obtain clarity. And then as you have a clean mind, then you might stumble upon what is making you feel a little bit down and depressed. But as long as you don't write it down, I think it's actually, you're stacking the cards against you by not writing down your thoughts and writing down your feelings. As emo as that sounds, I think it's very, very important that you do it. So yeah, go out and get yourself a journal from Barnes & Noble or just a piece of paper. Write down how you feel. If you feel that you're down for no reason, write down, I'm feeling down for no reason. And then just work from there. All right. Yes. Simon follows that up by saying, would there really be no reason though? And I think that there's some merit to that, because I think there always is a reason. I just think that it's not always apparent. So it feels like there's no reason. Eventually you will get to it, but you have to do a little bit of digging. And oftentimes what you'll find out is, most of the time when I figured out what was getting me down, is actually just a bunch of small little things. Just a bunch of small little things that needed to get taken care of. And like, oh, I said I was going to meet up with this friend, but I never did. I said I was going to do this for this person. I never did. I needed to email this person back something. I never did. And then if you're still able to do that, do those things, and then you'll naturally start to feel better. It's just that it's just gotten so pushed to the side of your mind with all the other things that you're worrying about. You're just going to start to feel bad for what you think is no reason, but you just don't know what it is yet. So seek and ye shall find. All right, guys, I'm going to take a couple more questions. My camera is wigging out. I really don't like that. I'm going to fix that really quick. All right. Anthony Coffey says, quinoa is great. I love quinoa. It's amazing. I actually didn't even know what it was until I moved here. But my family eats very, very healthy, and I'm very, very grateful for that. So they always have good stuff to eat. And who doesn't love good stuff? Good stuff to eat. Okay, what the heck is going on here? Change my webcam to that. Okay, what the heck is going on? Might be stuck with this for now. Yeah, we're stuck with that for now. All right, so we get autofocus for the rest of the stream. Why not? All right. Making lists and completing them, I think, is probably one of the greatest things that you can do for your self-esteem. Just knowing that you set out a plan and you completed it is just one of the best feelings in the world. Like, I love creating lists. I create lists in this thing all day, and just like little things like, oh, I got to send out this email. Oh, I got to lay out up to this page in Emma. Or I got to send out this email or this job thing. and I just get those things done. I gotta clean my clothes, and then when it's all done, you just feel so good. Whereas normally, you might be like, okay, finally that stuff's out of my way. Now I can focus on, this other stuff. But when you make it a list, a great man once said, part of the fun of having a list is just simply checking it off, right? Who doesn't love checking off lists? It's amazing what it does for you mentally. So go ahead and get on that. Get on that. All right, peoples, we are going to end Thoughtful Thursday, day 51 of the KNKL Emma stream, or KNKL live stream, rather. And I'm going to go ahead and load up our epic outro music. I want to thank you guys once again for joining me live on Ustream. People on YouTube, please thumbs up if you like this, thumbs down if you don't. My name is Kienan Lafferty. You guys go ahead and have yourselves a merry little weekend. I'll see you all on Monday for more Emma. Until then, you guys take care.